welcome to another episode of Real Life Stories with Pankaj. Friends, today I'm going to take you to this incident which happened a few years back, I would say early 2000s, and I just come into this country, and it is about understanding what happens when people from two different cultures interact with each other and make assumptions along the way, um, you know, about the situation versus what it actually is. So it was one of those incidents very early on in my experience and journey here within US. I had come from India a few months back, sorry, at that time, and I was interacting and engaging with my very first client, who happened to be this insurance company, a smaller insurance company in Ohio, and they were somewhat of a conservative background. They were set up in a town which was small town, not located within a bigger city, and so had some of the um, let's just say the mannerisms and culture coming in from a traditionally conservative Midwest background, um, of America. So most of the people were white. I and at that time I was working for a company where I had a lot of folks who looked like me from India, and so it was a different culture that we were bringing in. And so as we started engaging with this client, I'd built some good relationship with the vendor manager there, as well as with the project managers that we used to engage with. But one fine day, I got a call on my phone from the vendor manager asking me to just get in the car and come right away. At that time, I was still stationed out of our Michigan headquarters in Troy, and so it was about a 3 hour drive to get to this place, three and a half hour drive. I get there frantically and meet the vendor manager and ask what's going on, and she says something interesting. She said, "Listen, you have this person, part of your team on site, and he has been texting and sending notes, written notes, to this young lady from the client organization, and so that's not acceptable. This girl is in tears because she doesn't know what's happening." And we were pretty much shocked. I think the vendor manager was as surprised as I was as to what's going on and what happened. So I took that opportunity to really understand why it had happened. Why had this person sort of sent these messages and started to communicate certain feelings for this young, good-looking person at the client from the client side. Well, it appears that this gentleman who had come from India is from well-educated background. He was married. He had actually two kids who were in high school. So he was in his 40s. So I guess he married early, but in his 40s, well-mannered, introverted, and this person was located near this girl who was, I think she was an admin or in some kind of an administrative role with the client. And every day that this girl would pass this guy, she would, smile and ask him, how's he doing? As normally happens here in the US. Well, for those of you who are in the US, it may surprise you, but from where we come, a lot of people in India, they don't do that, right? When you cross strangers in the street and meet people occasionally, you don't really, you don't engage in any sort of communication simply because there's so many people, right? If you were to start doing and acknowledging everyone you cross, that's all you'd be doing all day long. So that doesn't happen. On the other hand, the culture in India is also very, very conservative, right? So when you see the someone from the opposite sex, recognizing you and acknowledging you, it sort of sometimes means that they're way more friendlier and that they may be attempting to um, communicate some kind of a amicable relationship, right? And so in this case, that was what was happening. The girl, when she was crossing this guy, our guy, she was just being nice and polite about going about her day and just acknowledging the person. And the gentleman was probably very surprised as to get this acknowledgement and from someone as pretty as she was, because he probably had not had that experience before. So he started developing feelings for her, believe it or not. And because this would happen over and over time, he, in a few months, believed that she actually had some feelings for him. And he didn't do anything up until one day he just thought that, he had seen enough evidence that this girl was really um, interested in him, and he started to text her, which the girl ignored, and then finally started writing notes to the girl, and that girl was just completely flabbergasted, right, what was going on. And that, as I found out later, as my vendor management told me, that girl was actually the girlfriend of a footballer, a football linebacker. So imagine that, uh, adding to the uh, hilariousness of the situation. So anyway, when all of that happened, and we realized why this had occurred, of course we had to ask the gentleman to sort of leave that account. I think he went back to India because he was on a visa. But it taught me an important lesson that you have to really take an effort to understand communication, right? Especially when you're coming from different cultures. You might think someone is polite, someone is impolite based on how they communicate verbally and non verbally. But if you were to understand their culture a little bit more, uh, you would be able to put those signals in context. So my takeaway, which started from that day, was to keep an eye out, be aware of how people engage and interact from different cultures. And America is a melting pot, right? Since then, we've met all kinds of people, conservative, forward looking, etc. And it's always helpful to keep an open mind for learning new things, right? So anyway, that was a hilarious situation. I thought I would cheer up people. We're getting into fall season here, and I thought this story is probably gonna make some of the people who are listening to this video relate to some incidents that might have happened with them that were probably similar. So, again, if you do have any such incidents that come to your mind, if this situation that I described somewhat, is relates to your experience, do comment back in the post below. But otherwise, I will soon be back with another episode of Real Life Stories with Pankaj. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.